At the end of 2019, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Things were looking pretty grim. He's a longtime student of the Urantia book, and he had on his mind what he would like to leave people with. So he sent out a series of emails with some of his thoughts on prayer. My dad is now recovered, and he sat down to talk with me about those emails. So in this series, you're not going to hear us talk about the Urantia book so much as how its lessons have melded into our lives and shaped our attitudes toward prayer and the process of death and dying. Here's one of those emails and the conversation that we had about it.
Practice. There are several different flavors of prayer: thankfulness, supplication, awe, talking, listening. It was a couple years ago that one of my daughters, Caitlin, mentioned that Buddhists practice. They meditate, but they also practice. Now, I don't pretend to know what they mean by practice, just as many people don't know what another person means when they say meditate. But to me, practice became a useful part of my prayer time.
Visualization is a highly useful technique in sports. Athletes are instructed to mentally see themselves doing every little aspect of the task. In basketball, holding the ball, seeing the basket, starting the jump, throwing the ball, seeing your hands follow through, then repeat. Practice that over and over.
This visualization, mental practice, has documented success in sports. I use it in behavior. Mentally practice smiling at the checkout clerk when one is feeling ornery. Practice ignoring the rude driver. Practice showing respect toward an idiot.
I mean, of course, a child of God of differing opinion.
Practice acceptance of one's situation rather than anger. Practice at being at peace and trusting God to say, "I got you," when getting less than good news from the doctor. Just as in sports, mental practice of personal behaviors and mental attitudes really helps when trying to do those things in real time in real situations.
This act of visualizing strikes me as being sort of refreshingly assertive when it's such a challenge to, shuffle to the kitchen. And there's not a whole lot that you can do, but you can rest on the couch and you can go through these visualizations that you were talking about. So what kinds of things would you visualize?
Some specific things I can't like that cheerful endurance. I visualize just being happy, just being cheerful. There's those like mental attitude kind of behaviors. And that's what the piece is getting at, I think. But also in terms of my own cancer healing, because a lot of people will visualize in order to promote some kind of healing. Early on in this, I visualized myself as a knight with a sword and a shield, a little mini me down inside my rectum, chopping away at the tumor, which was, I think it was pretty substantial, the way the doctor wrote it up. Chopping it into pieces, chopping it off the wall of the rectum, and that gave me something to do, for one thing, and for whatever it did, it promoted for whatever it did. I don't know. It's undocumented, but that kind of visualization I found useful.
Yeah. I mean, there's different attitudes that people can take when they're given a bad diagnosis. They might become resigned. They might become angry. And you took more of an attitude of being assertive and calm, which is an
Yeah.
interesting combination.
Huh. Okay.
Would you describe it differently? That was just kind of my...
No, I think that's it. That's why I got nothing else to say, because it was assertive, and I think I was relatively calm about it, because I said earlier that I was okay with this.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do when you have a sense of calm and you don't have that big fighting spirit? But there was also a sense of assertiveness about, hey, I can do something here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not resignation. That
Mm-hmm.
is as a carpenter having a problem, and you just don't resign yourself to, well, that problem's never going to get solved. No, you do solve the problem. Not with an attitude of anger, but okay, what do we do first? What tool are we going to need? I'll go get the tool and we'll start doing this with an attitude of calm.
Cool. Good. That one's done. There's
Grandpa
one more,
talks so
Leopold.
long.
See, this is the one time, Bob, when she might be grateful that you go on and on and on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Please use your teacher voice. Please talk longer.
Please say it just more and more.